everybody, my name is Marcy. Welcome back to another video. We're reacting to Azahriah. It's gonna be a new song called Pörkölt. That is what you think goulash is, if you're not from Hungary. To compare to Germany, for example, the Germans would ask for goulash in Hungary, and what they would get is goulash soup. But what they actually want is Pörkölt. Okay, brackets closed. Now onto the song. Actually, I wanted to mention something. I was watching Azahriah's YouTube channel. For those of you who are not Hungarian or just didn't know, he used to be a YouTuber himself. And he had a YouTube channel, or has a YouTube channel, that is called Paul Street, I think. Well, he called himself Paul Street. And I listened to a vlog type of video where he explained a lot about his thoughts, also mentioning that he turned off the comments on under his videos simply because he read them like I was watching TikTok videos. It distracted him wanting to know what people say, and basically I get it a lot. If I'm going through all of your comments and I try my best to reply to all of them, it feels like I'm smiling through the comments because all of you are super positive, loving, thank you so much. And then sometimes just one negative comment slips in. And I'm like, all right, should I take that as criticism? Should I care a lot about it? What exactly is my opinion on this comment? And I spend way too much thinking about it. Now that's the reason he turned the comments off, because he got sidetracked by them. And I just want to make it clear that if me doing reaction videos to Azahriah would be any problem for him or his management, I would drop it. So let's see.
Koncepció van itt egy beszélgetés, de mivel nem vágjátok meg az albumokat, meg a lort, ezért marad ez.
Ah! Ah, let's dissect this section a little bit, and not even lyric-wise, because I can't pay attention to everything. So in the lyrics, he just mentioned a few things, that the stadium was full and there was a ganja man, and I don't know. We have to look at the lyrics separately, as always. Now, for the music, I think he is experimenting, which is good. He is very young. I think he's 23, 25, something like that. He's very young and he's experimenting with this album. In my last reaction, I mentioned that he has reached like a Hungarian peak, then went on a vacation, let's call it a time off, and thought. And now he's coming back. Already the last song, Vem Zavar, which in the comments I read about, it means Végre egy magyar zene, aminek van refrain. Yeah, I think that basically translates to finally a Hungarian music that has a chorus, which is strange, ironic, which is irony, because that one didn't really have a chorus, unless we would count the end part, which was an entirely different song. So that's what I mean. There's a lot of experimenting going on. Here, all of a sudden, we have almost heavy metal chords playing in the background and a double-layered vocal rapping, which reminds me a little bit of System of a Down, and that's not something that I thought I would ever say about Azahriah. What? Mikor a pázsiton mezit lábastul szaladgáltunk, és jaj, de nagy baj volt, ha nem értünk időben haza. A
Most éjjel 4 és 6 között a 4 haton belőlem sör és fűszagárod. Tisztelettel biztos úr, nem vagyok én haramia, csak egy átkozott zenész. Ez nem nagy kunst.
All right, chill, brother. So he has a lot of lines that are like directly communicating to the listener, saying, hey, do you remember back in those days where we were running around barefoot, and oh my god, how big of a problem it was when we came home late. Like, he actually emphasizes it this way, like it was an ongoing conversation between you, the listener, or me in this case, and him. And then he goes fast forward to the present times where he's a musician smelling like alcohol and weed, going back on the night train between 4 a.m. in the morning and 6 a.m. And again, we have a genre switch.
Felad, de síbatja, mert különben gatya. Tüzet hányas túlba, mint egy párgeria. Elgondolkodhatnál, hogy a vaker mitől babad, de te csak hallgatod, nem figyeled, csak látod, nem nézed. Én a szolga, én a gyáva, én a hősöd, én a bátor, én a szolga, én a gyáva, én a hősöd, én a bátor. Holnap minden jobb lesz, holnap minden jobb lesz, de minden nap ugyanaz szajkózzák át én. Kibe bízatok, kibe bízon az, akit itt tettek lóvá, ilyen alja módon. Én spanokatot hagytam néha ok nélkül a múltban, holtig tartó szerelem fél éves szakaszokban, de még itt vagyok, elvaratlan szálakat én nem hagyom. I'm dealing with a whole lot of problems, baby. Smoking up a tiggy and it...
Now we have a beat, of course. We've been to heavy metal. We mentioned reggae. We've been to a beat. We have double-layered vocals, the guitar, some electric, some less electric. And by that I mean some with distortion, some without. Now, the topic of the song changes as frequently as the genre of the song. So it's not easy to follow, but it is fun to listen to. It really feels like multiple stories.
At the end of the day, we sleep and under coffee, no leave on your flesh. What's in every day? $50,000 hotelban ne van ahol. Tudod, kár lenne értem feláldozni magadat, ki akarok törni, nem baszta meg a sója.
Yeah, and the way he at the end says, "Basta meg a show," like he changes his vocals. I also mentioned that in the wait a second. I also mentioned that in the last reaction that it's typical Azahriah style that he changes his tone while singing. And then sometimes he sounds a little bit sharper. Sometimes he's holding back or placing the vocals, placing the tone further back. And then you have like this Kermit the Frog style, which he does intentionally to make it a living story. I think before we go into a little bit more details about the song, let's actually check out the lyrics so I can summarize them for those of you who don't speak Hungarian. There we go. Ott nem talál a maffia, ott fullon van a stadion, ott minden kaput bebaszok. Sosem lesz nekem ebből már elegem. Mondd el, hogy kihagyott ekkora kupit. Takarítsa fel az, akinek 2 anyja van. Az életrajzomban az van, hogy Pál utca, meg Real Ganja man. Alright. Little summary here. So Azahriah is from a street called Paul Street, Pál utca. And a lot of these lines are actually not content lines, but more like expressions. For example, who left all this mess? Maybe the person that should clean it is the person that has 2 mothers. This is usually a bad expression in Hungarian. In my CV, it says that I'm from Paul Street and I'm a ganja man. Yeah. Let's change the table, fordítok a table-en, és dik a szoba burning, I'm learning, ha curvy a baba az a jó. It's actually quite difficult to change between the languages so many times. Álmomban már láttalak, meg láttál, nem volt túl jó vége, meguntam, az felébredtem én. He's talking to a person throughout the song, telling a story, telling a little bit about himself, and let's see what else. Tudatosan kerülik az egyetemes igazságot, de ébred a nép. Ó, régen minden jobb volt, régen minden jobb volt. Alright, so this might have a little political influence, saying that we are trying to avoid the truth, but the people are waking up, slowly waking up. Oh, how great it was, and I mentioned that story already during the song. Oh, how great it was back then we were running around barefoot. Now I'm smelling like alcohol and weed on the way back on the train. Vigyázz testvér, ne baszd fel a desi bátyám, mert különben gatya. Now here he is referring to Dash, with whom he has a lot of joined songs. What the hell is going on? I think there's a storm outside. Okay, never mind. Tüzet hány a stúba, mint egy Targaryen. Also a line that is more from the rap business. We have a comparison here. I'm throwing fire like a Targaryen from Game of Thrones. Elgondolkodhatná, hogy a vaker mitől baba, de te csak hallgatod, nem figyeled, csak látod, nem nézed. You could think about what's happening, but no. You're only hearing, not listening. You're only seeing, but not paying attention. Basically, that's that part. Én a szolga, én a gyáva, én a hősöd, én a bátor. You have that part 2 times. Me the slave, me the coward, me the hero, and the brave. Holnap minden jobb lesz, de minden nap ugyanazt szájkozzák, hát így kibe bízhatok, kibe bízzon az, akit így tettek lóvá, ilyen alja módon. Én spanokat otthagytam néha ok nélkül a múltban, holtig tartó szerelem féléves szakaszokban, de még itt vagyok, elvarratlan szálakat én nem hagyok. I'm dealing with okay, before we go into the English section, he's referring to the past. He left a lot of his friends in the past and kept preaching that everything's gonna be better tomorrow. Now for the English part, I'm dealing with a whole lot of problems, baby. Smoking up a cig and it all go away. Te rajongani akarsz meg a kirakatot nézni. You wanna glaze and look at the window of a shop. Letelik az, pikpak a halálos ágyon, úgy bánod azt, hogy sohasem éltél a pillanatban igazán. Loving you more, but at the end of the day we sleeping in a coffin alone. Okay, so perhaps he's talking about a fan looking up to him, but this kind of fandom, this parasocial relationship, is causing that person to not actually live a life. And I know this is a stretch, but if you're Hungarian, if you understand it a little bit better than I do, then please help me out in the comments, as always, because it is a little bit cryptic. Dől a lé, itt nagy a flash, bussin' every day, $50,000 hotel, includes a hoe. Tudod, kár lenne értem feláldozni magadat, én ki akarok törni innen, bassza meg a show. It would be a shame if you would sacrifice yourself for me. I want to get out of this. Fuck the show. Okay, overall I understand it as him trying to figure out what his massive success means to him and what it does with the people around him, or how it changes people seeing him. The reason I think that is also going back to that video I mentioned that I watched on his YouTube channel, where he was explaining how things have been changing, that in a few years back, if he was alone in the woods, then people would think, what a creep, there is someone lurking in the woods. And now they would see him and like, oh my god, that's Azahriah, and run up to him, not even questioning the fact while he's alone running around in the woods. So that's the reason why I think this is what the song's about. But I'm having a really hard time with the lyrics. It's how do I describe it? Artistic choices have been made in this one. The song in general as the lyrics is very experimental, and I mentioned that throughout the song. So I personally think this is a good way to go, figuring out what he actually wants, what kind of music he wants to put out. And as he is figuring out a lot of things in life and questioning himself, you can see that in the songs as well. So we get to be part of that process. And that being said, thank you so much for watching. On to the next reaction. My name is Marcy.